Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is the 6th of March, so we're almost a week into the month and I'm coming in to open up this vlog. Also, Molly is, as ever, sleeping just here. She's just having a massive stretch. So we may be in for a start of this vlog like we were last month, where she causes chaos, or she might just do a 180 and lie back down and go back to sleep. We'll see. Yeah, it's nearly a week into the month and I'm only just coming to open the vlog, which probably tells you that I'm in a reading slump and a creating slump and kind of a life slump. I'm feeling a bit slumpy all round. How many times can I say slump? I finished one book, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But yeah, this week has been a weird one. I've had some good days and then a couple of not so good days. But my reading has just absolutely tanked. I read 18 books in January and then like 15 or so books last month. And like I said, at the moment I'm on one book, which I enjoyed and I'm really enjoying what I'm reading, but like I'm just not picking books up. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, March. So far this month, what's happened? Gary and I went to a local giant flea, well not local, it's about an hour away from us now. But we went to a giant flea market that's on a few times a year in a town, like I said, about an hour or so away from us, on Sunday, which was the first. It was so nice to do something normal. If you've not been here before, hi, hello, come on in. I am in recovery currently from skull decompression surgery, and that's been affecting my life. Well, it's going on 2 years now, but it's been really affecting my life, or impacting my life a lot, for about 6 months. I was signed off work in October. I'm an English teacher when I'm working. And going to reclamation yards and flea markets and stuff is something that Gary and I do quite a lot in our normal life, but I haven't had the energy for it really recently. But Sunday I was like, come on, it's on, it's one of our favourite ones to go to. I was like, let's just go, even if I just managed like 45 minutes. And we had such a nice time. We were there for about 2 hours, I think, in the end, and I was flagging by the time I got back to the car. I was really tired, but it was really nice. It wasn't too busy because the weather was a little bit questionable, so it wasn't quite as crowded as it can get in the summer, which was nice. We just bought the one thing, which I think I put in B-roll, which is this really lovely metal Coca-Cola sign. It's about that big, so I've added that to the collection. But it was mostly just, it wasn't really about buying, it was just about feeling a bit more normal, getting outside, having a bit of a mooch round, so that was really lovely. Monday I went to go and see Wuthering Heights. Yeah, I don't want to yuck other people's yum, and I know lots of people have enjoyed that film. I think it's one of the worst films I've ever seen, if I'm being completely brutally honest. I knew as soon as it was kind of advertised as the greatest love story ever told that it was not going to be an adaptation for me. I have studied Wuthering Heights a few times, definitely A-level, and at least once during my undergrad degree, my BA. And it's always been a story that I've respected rather than enjoyed. And I think part of that might have been the way it was taught to me. I'm sad, she's doing her morning zoomies. But I also think it kind of boils down to me as a reader. I fundamentally don't enjoy books about miserable people being miserable to each other, which is, I think, is a lot of the book. So I'm not like a huge fan of the book. I'm not like emotionally invested in it. But I had several problems with the film. I've been warned on the sexual content, which doesn't bother me in films. But for me, the whole point, literally the whole point of that story is that it is the lack of being able to love Kathy that twists Heathcliff's soul and his character and kind of drives him to do things that he does. So when they are, you know, basically doing it on the moors 25 minutes in, it takes all the tension out. There was nowhere near enough yearning. Lots of characters were cut, and I know they were streamlining it because you've only got so much time in a film to tell a story. But I feel like the characters that they took out were really important ones. And yeah, I feel like it sucked all the gothic out of this gothic story. So yeah, it totally missed the point for me. And I was both bored and revolted at the same time, which is quite a skill. I mean, I kind of knew that Emerald Fennell wasn't going to be a director for me. I haven't seen Saltburn, but I'm on the internet, so I've heard enough about it to know that it wasn't going to be for me. And as soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, I don't think this is going to be for me. But I kind of wanted to see it anyway, plus it was just cheap tickets on a Monday, and as part of my recovery, my aim now is to get out of the house a couple times a week by myself, and that's like an easy way of doing that. So so I saw it, and I texted Charlotte when it came out at Win, and I was like, I feel like I need a shower, a shot of vodka, and an apology from the director after that. Yeah, no, it was not for me. Let's try and give some positives. I thought Martin Clunes was incredible. He plays Kathy's dad, and it was really unexpectedly good. I think he's a great actor, but I'm not used to seeing him in that kind of very dark, villainous role, although that character was kind of an amalgamation of her father and Hindley, her brother, because they cut the brother out. But he was fantastic in it, and the younger cast, the young Kathy and the young Heathcliff, were brilliant. Yeah, Margot Robbie was good with what she'd been given, but yeah, no, it wasn't for me. Anyway, I went to see that. I spent Tuesday processing that experience. And then my mum and my brother came down Wednesday, which was really lovely. They bought this beautiful bunch of flowers that you can see here, as well as enough food to keep Gara and I going for about a week. Mum was like, oh, I'll just get a few like picky bits for lunch. And I was like, yeah, cool. And then she arrived with like 2 massive bags of food, which was really lovely. So that's kept Gara and I in nice picky bits for the last couple of days. It was really lovely to see her and my brother. It's the first time I've seen any of my family since my operation. So it was just good to see them and catch up, and they both got lots of things going on in their lives. A few of you have asked me about Mum, because when her and I went to France in the summer, she slipped coming down the mountain and broke her ankle. Well, shattered her ankle is really more of an accurate description. We're now in March, so we're like 7 months later, and she's only just out of plaster cast and boots. She's now back in her trainers, still on crutches. And having physio and stuff, but she is able to walk much better. She's driving a little bit. She's allowed to drive now. So she's kind of getting used to that again, being able to walk the dogs a little bit. So she's slowly making progress, but yeah, it's taken a long time. So that's the update on her. And then yesterday I absolutely crashed. I emotionally crashed. I was very tearful yesterday, and I'm not quite sure what that was about. I think it was probably amalgamation of things. I think I was feeling very physically tired because I've been kind of on the go as much as I can at the moment for the sort of previous 3 or 4 days. It was World Book Day yesterday, which is one of my favourite days to be a teacher, and I was missing it. And I think as lovely as it was, wonderful as it was to see my mum and my brother, I think that also was emotional in its own way. And so I think the whole thing together just made me crash out a bit yesterday. And I was having a lot of symptoms, which also doesn't help. So yesterday I very much just stopped. I did the minimum of giving the house a tidy round, changing from one set of pyjamas into a clean set, brushing my teeth and putting dinner in the crock pot, because this week is the first week post-surgery, now 6 weeks post-surgery, where I am kind of taking back over cooking, because Gary's been doing all of that over the last 6 weeks. So I've got the crock pot fired up. Yesterday I made this like chicken hot and sour noodles. It was good, I'm told. I didn't actually eat it because I was so nauseated. I ended up having crackers for dinner, but Gary liked it. And then today I've got the crock, you can't see it, it's on the side just here. Is it, or is it that side? This side here. Today I am doing chicken thighs in like a sticky garlicky sauce from the, what are they called? Got another one down there. Pinch of Nom, that was it. The Pinch of Nom slow cooker recipe book, which I'll link underneath. Yeah, enjoying it so far. So I did that, and then I basically just lay on the sofa and watch TV and scroll my phone all day, which didn't really do me any good, I don't think, but I didn't feel capable of doing anything else. And I haven't really been reading. So I finished one book, then I've got a book my brother bought me when he came down. We've got the book from Charlotte for the month, and then I've got a box of stuff that I ordered, because obviously I've been ordering stuff off Etsy again. And then I've got 3 parcels that you guys have sent me that have been sat here for a couple of days, so I'm going to open those. First of all, my first read of the month is my reread for the month, so obviously it also ticks off my reread square on my spring reading challenge, which I will link the announcement for underneath if you're interested but don't know what I'm talking about. But my first read of the month has been 6 Tudor Queens, Jane Seymour, The Haunted Queen by Alison Weir. I gave this 5 stars. This is the second or third time I've read it. I gave it 5 stars originally. It's still a 5-star read for me. I've read the entire series before. I did a video where I ranked them, so I'll put that underneath. That's a couple of years old now, but I would say that my opinions probably still hold. I loved this. This is a big book, right? It's like 534 pages, and I flew through this. I've been slumpy over the last few days, but I absolutely flew through this book over the weekend. Oh, I got hiccups, sorry. I think I finished it Monday. And there's just something about Alison Weir's writing that I just sink into really easily. And I think a lot of people put off because of the size of the books. I mean, I think this one is smaller than Catherine of Aragon, I think, is the biggest one. And then Anne Boleyn's quite big as well, and then they get a bit smaller from there. And I think that puts people off, but I find these really quick reads. And this is what it says on the tin. She has done one book for each of Henry VIII's 6 queens. This is Jane Seymour's book, so we're in her perspective from her childhood up until her death. And we're just seeing what happens from her point of view. And what I really like, and I think I said this I think I've said this before, we're talking about this book. When I went into this series, I thought that Jane Seymour was going to be the most boring of the books because we don't know that much about her. She's kind of painted as this kind of quite dull, insipid kind of contrast to Anne Boleyn. You know, and Jane Seymour, gave Henry a son and then died and became this sort of martyr in his mind. I mean, she is the wife that he's buried next to. But we don't really know much about her. So I didn't really have that much kind of expectation going in. But what Alison Weir does is she takes the little bits of information we have, because it's not much, because Jane was not born to be queen. She was a knight's daughter in this kind of slightly obscure Wiltshire, you know, town, and she rose to be queen in this kind of series of events, but also because of the kind of machinations and kind of her brothers pulling strings behind her. And so what Alison Weir does is she takes these little bits of information we've got and she has built a character. She's kind of fleshed Jane out, and she's interesting and she's funny and she's observant, and she's very religious and she's very kind of morally driven by her religion, and she's kind, and I really kind of fell in love with her through this story. And we know how it ends. If you know the rhyme of Henry VIII's Wives, you know what's going to happen. And even right up to the end, I was hoping that wasn't going to happen. And yeah, I just think it's really interesting. Alison Weir also definitely takes liberties with Jane's story in a couple of different ways, which might upset kind of purist historians. But I think there's 2 specific things that she does, and obviously I won't talk about them specifically because I don't want to give details. But I think one of the ways that Alison Weir takes liberties with the story is realistic, and is probably, you know, there's a good chance that happened. Spit my words out. The other one is a slightly supernatural element to the story, which I think also makes sense given everything that was going on. But historical purists might not like it. However, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a great time rereading it. I gave it 5 stars. It's a good start to my reading month, even though, like I said, the reading is going slow. And like I said, that'll be my reread for the spring reading challenge. Then the book that my brother has gifted me, I'm not sure, but he brought round and handed to me is Wait by Jeanette Winterson. I have read only one other Jeanette Winterson, which was the Christmas collection back in December. I'll link my December TBR underneath if you're interested. And that book ended up in my favourite reads of last year. And I'm quite intrigued by this. It is very, very short, which, you know, is always a bonus. And actually, like with the way it's laid out, there's not a lot of words on the page. And my brother read this and he really liked it. It's 151 pages. And it just says, condemned to shoulder the world forever by the gods, he dare defied. Freedom seems unattainable to Atlas. But then he receives an unexpected visit from Heracles, the one man strong enough to share the burden. So Jeanette Winterson's retelling of the myth of Atlas and Heracles asks difficult and eternal questions about the nature of choice and coercion. Visionary and incentive, Wait turns the familiar on its head to show us ourselves in a new light. That looks really interesting. Like I said, it's a short one. Maybe I'll pick it up. I've got quite a bit to read. Oh, it's part of the same series. Okay, so it's part of the Myths series that includes the Plaid, which I can hardly ever say, by Margaret Atwood, which I really enjoyed. maybe I'll pick this up soon as a quick read to boost my reading. So thank you for that, Ben. I will read that hopefully soon. Then we've got the March pick from Charlotte. So this one says, genre fantasy young adult. Have I read it? No. I heard Katie one more time talking about this and she mentioned found family and I think food. No serial killers though. That is a reference to the fact that I once said that my favourite things in books were found family, food and serial killers. Which is true. Right, let's see what this is. I have no idea what this could be. I really don't know. Did you say young adult? Yeah, I don't know. It could be a lot of things. From that description, I don't think it's something I've read. And obviously, when we were creating each other's advents, we were looking at each other's StoryGraph and stuff. So I don't think it's something I've read. Right, okay. What are you? Lonely Castle in the Mirror. Interesting. Never even heard of it. Mizuki. Yeah, sorry. I'm gonna have to look up how to say it. That's the author there. Okay. The prize-winning Japanese #1 bestseller. This looks really interesting. Okay, so in a neighborhood in Tokyo, 7 young people wake up to find their bedroom mirrors shining. Placing their palms on the surface, they are pulled through into a wondrous castle where they encounter not only each other, but their taskmaster, a bossy young girl in a mask named Wolf Queen, which I guess explains this. Though they don't know it yet, they all have one thing in common. Eager to uncover the secrets of the castle while keeping their own, their time here will not be without glitches. For a start, each day they must leave by 5 o'clock or face a terrifying penalty. They must all hunt for a key that will grant only one wish. They must tell no one about their experience. As they struggle to abide by the rules of the game and each other's emotional boundaries, a moving story unfolds of 7 characters trapped in a cycle of misunderstanding and loneliness, who ultimately set free by the power of friendship, empathy, and sacrifice. This sounds really interesting. Like I said, I feel like I should have heard about it, but I haven't. And it's translated from the Japanese by Philip Gabriel. Okay, it's just over 300 pages. I'll be reading this month. So we'll see how we get on. That's very intriguing. Okay, I'm gonna keep that as well because I've been cutting this bit out and putting it inside the book so I can remember which one was which. Then I have been ordering from Etsy again, which is always what I do when I'm sad. So this is from the shop Handmade, and this is just the thank you card, which doesn't have the shop information on it. I will link them underneath. I've linked them before. This is not sponsored. I like wax melts. I like having the house smelling nice. It's like really important to me. And I ran out of rhubarb and custard, which I bought from the shop before, and then I saw 2 others that I was like, oh, I'm gonna give those a try as well. So it comes really nicely packaged like this. Ooh. So we've got rhubarb and custard, which I've had before from this brand. I really like this shop. They are not hugely expensive. It's not the cheapest thing in the world, but they're not hugely expensive. Their scents throw really well, so it makes the whole house smell really nice. And I found that the scents are really true to the description, because sometimes you can buy wax melts and then when you get them, they don't actually really smell like the thing. But I've had this before and I love it. It's also one of Gary's favourites as well. And oh, it smells just like the sweet, so you can practically taste them. And then the 2 others that I shouldn't have browsed. I should have just got the rhubarb and custard and got out of the shop. But anyway, like online obviously, I didn't. So I've gone for cherry slushy. I've gone for these smaller bars just to try them out, just in case. I mean, I'm sure I'm gonna love them, but anyway, I've gone for a smaller. Oh, that's just wafted as it's open. Oh, that smells so good. It smells a little bit marzipan-y, but also really fresh. Oh, I really like that. Okay, so that's the cherry slushy. And then I also got strawberry shortcake. Because I just want my house to smell like a sweet shop, clearly. Let's have a sniff of this. Oh man, I really want to eat that. I like both, but I think this is the current winner. Yeah, that smells like vanilla and strawberries, and I want to eat it. Okay, so that's stuff I bought myself, because that's what I do when I'm having a day. And then I've got 3 parcels from you guys. So I've said this before in videos, but I think it bears repeating every time. I have a wish list to keep an eye on prices of books, and you know, any like deals that come up. I very much appreciate those of you that send me books from time to time. It is not required. But I do really appreciate it when it happens. So thank you. So we've got this one. These are just sort of stacked in size order. So let's see what we've got. Ooh, that is a big book. What is that? I usually try and find the gift note first, but I don't think I'm not going to be able to reach past it. This is the Famous 5 Collection 3. Let's find the... Oh no, there's no gift note. Is it tucked in the book? No, that's so annoying. Okay, I will find out by the time this video goes up. I will have found out who sent me this. But this is the Famous 5 Collection 3. So this has got 5 go off to camp, 5 get into trouble, 5 fall into adventure in it. I love these. I've really loved rereading them. I read these over and over again as a child and have found during recovery these are just really soothing and easy to read. So whoever that was, thank you so much. That was really kind and a fantastic choice. Like I said, I will have found who it was by the time this video is up, hopefully. If I haven't, is there definitely no note in there? No. If I haven't been able to get in contact with you by the time this video goes up, drop me a comment please so that I can thank you properly. Then we've got this one. Trying to persuade myself not to read Famous 5 this month. Right. This is from, oh, lovely Melinda. Just says, enjoy your gift. There's 2 things in here. Okay, let's find the other gift note. Okay, so she said, just because also I love them both, your videos and vlogs continue to be a highlight of the month for me. Love and prayers for your continued healing, from Melinda. Thank you so much. That's so kind. I've had so much support and kindness from all of you. And yeah, it really does help lift me and I really do appreciate it. So thank you, Melinda. Let's see which 2 books you've gone for. I'm just going to grab one at random. What's that? Oh, this is Abby Jimenez, Part of Your World. I have obviously seen Abby Jimenez like mentioned a lot online. She's not an author I've read from, I don't think. And then I saw Jade from Jade Juniper do a reading vlog talking about romance books, and Jade is not typically a romance reader, so she was kind of going in and trying to find what she enjoyed in the genre, and she really loved Part of Your World, and the way that she talked about it made me want to read it, so I put it onto my wish list, and Melinda has very kindly sent this to me. So yeah, this is a romance story. I'm not going to read the backs of these books because this clip is already like over 20 minutes long, but thank you so much, Melinda. Let's put the gift note with that. That's really kind, and I will look forward to reading that one soon. And then the other book, here's the receipt. Oh. So A Kind of Spark by Elle McNichol. So I read Keedy last month because that was the book that was Charlotte's pick for last month, and I mentioned that I hadn't read A Kind of Spark, and both Charlotte and Charlie from Charlie Brooke Reads were both like in my comments going, what do you mean you haven't read that one? So I put it on my wish list and I was like, I will buy it, and obviously Melinda's got there first. Thank you so much. This is short. I didn't expect it to be this short. I loved Keedy. It was my favourite book of last month. Spoiled it from my February vlog. If you haven't read it, if you haven't watched it, I'll link it underneath. And then this is about her sister Addie, and I think all of Elle McNichol's books have representation in them for autism, ADHD, etc. And I think Addie is autistic. So yeah, that'll be a really interesting one to read. Again, nice short one. I'm tempted by the short books at the moment because I'm trying to jumpstart my reading. So put that over there. And then this arrived yesterday. This has got my actual name on it. So the parcels that come from my gift, from my wish list, have What Victoria Read on them. This one's got my actual name, but I didn't order it. So that means that it'll be a friend or family member. From the shape of it, I think I know what it is. But I don't know who it's from. Oh, it's not what I thought it was at all. This is definitely from my mother. These are Licky Licks. She bought a little 5-pack with her, along with some other dreamies and stuff for the cats. And they'd never had, Arthur had never had them before. And these are just like little cat treats. And I tried them, I tried Sav and Molly on them. Jack's not tried them yet, and they both absolutely loved them, like nearly took them out of my hands. So I would assume that Mum has now sent me a bumper packet for the cats, which is very lovely. I will obviously make sure that was her and say thank you if it was. So yeah, that's really funny. I'll put this underneath. our cat, like the girls were both like nearly dragged the packet out of my hand. They were so into it, and I do need to try it on Jack. Okay, that wasn't what I thought I was going to open, but we love it anyway. Molly's just like, did you say licky licks? She's just doing a little 180. Okay, so that's the update. Yeah, next few days. So today's Friday. I need to sort out Mother's Day today. That is like top of my list. I also need to order some stuff for Gary's birthday and get the ball rolling there because it's his birthday at the end of this month. And I need to start shopping online for a dress for my cousin's wedding, which is also at the end of the month. There's lots of things happening at the end of March. Tomorrow, we don't have any plans. We are planning to try and get all of our pictures and stuff out. They're currently all like stacked in the conservatory and in boxes and stuff because we've lived here a year and we still haven't like properly put all of our stuff up on the walls. So hoping to do that this weekend. That's kind of the big job to tackle. Hopefully Charlie's gonna pop over on Sunday for a little bit, maybe do a little do a little bit of baking. But it should be a pretty chill weekend. Next week, I haven't got any plans at all. I want to film a vlog on one of the days, but mostly I just want to try and get some reading done. So I'm going to tidy all this up, sort out Mother's Day, sort out the husband's birthday, and then try and settle down and read. It's now the 14th of March. I thought I'd switch it up by filming on our bed. Somebody commented on I think it's my February vlog being like, or January vlog being, it's saying, it's so nice to see you back at your table. And they were being nice. But it did also kind of remind me that I need to, for vlogs, I should really be switching up some of the locations rather than just sitting at the dining room table all the time. So we're in our bedroom. Plus it's early-ish, I think it's about 9:30. And this is the best light we've got in the house at the moment. And yeah, it's been a few days. I had an alright, my week was alright. There's been some family stuff going on in the background. Everyone's okay, but that's been stressful. It now is hopefully resolved, but yeah, that was a stressful thing that happened this week. And it's difficult because I am not in a position to be there at the moment for various reasons, and that's stressful because I feel anxious because I'm not there. I can't like see with my own eyeballs what's going on. I feel guilty for not being there. And yeah, it's been a bit of a week that way. Other than that, it's been an okay week. I filmed my Spend a Cozy Day With Me vlog, which if you've watched, you'll know I've just filmed the end of because I'm in the same jumper and same setup. That was a really nice day just to focus a little bit on my self-care. And I did manage to read a good chunk of that day, which was nice. I'll link that video underneath if you're interested and haven't seen it. What else has happened? My dress has arrived for my cousin's wedding, which I need to try on, but I haven't got the spoons for that today. But I will try it on obviously shortly. I think that's it. There's not a lot going on. Today is Saturday. Gary is off seeing one of his best friends, which is really good. They don't get to see each other anywhere near enough because his best friend lives a couple of hours away. So he's gone to see him and have some lunch and hang out and, you know, whatever, have fun, which is really good. I am trying to pull myself together. I've had a couple of very high fatigue days. So I filmed the cozy vlog and then I've been like really low energy for a couple of days. So I've watched a lot of Bridgerton. I've been loving that. Poor Ali has been getting my WhatsApp updates every time something happens. I'm now almost caught up. I've got like one episode of season 4 left. So I've been watching a lot of Bridgerton, watching a lot of YouTube. I have been reading, not loads, but I do have some books to talk to you about. Today I am going to run some errands. The weather looks beautiful, it looks cold, but it's dry and sunny. Yesterday we had hail. So much hail, it did look like it snowed outside. I should have got some B-roll, but failed in my job as a vlogger. So yeah, I'm gonna run some errands today. I need to pop out and buy, it's Gary's birthday at the end of the month, and he really loves the cashew nuts that M&S do that are like sweet and salty ones. I'll take some B-roll when I get there. So I'm going to pop to M&S food hall to get those for him. Then over to Tesco's to drop off. There's a free library there. So I'm going to drop off a load of books from my recent unhaul. They've gone unclaimed by friends and family. So I'm going to drop some books off there. Drop off some clothes. I need to collect a prescription because of course I do. And then grab a few bits and pieces that we need for the house. Come home, I want to try and sort out Gary's birthday present today. Everything's arrived, and because he's not here, I need to kind of lay everything out and make sure I've got everything and maybe wrap some stuff if I've got the energy. And then I do want to try and make some shortbread. That sounds like too many things for me to do in a day, so we'll see how far I get. Then tomorrow we're going to go and see my mother-in-law and father-in-law. I haven't seen them since Christmas, so that'll be really lovely. Plus it's Mother's Day here in the UK tomorrow, so it'll be good to see them. And Charlie's with his mum this weekend, obviously because it's Mother's Day. And then next week there's not loads happening. I am aiming to film another vlog, which you will hopefully have seen by the time this goes up, which I'm hoping to film Wednesday, but we'll see if that happens. And then Thursday I got a haircut. Finally, because my last haircut, I went into my messages to message my hairdresser and be like, hi, please could I have an appointment? The last time I saw her, and therefore last time I had a haircut, was August. It's March. So yeah, my hair definitely needs some attention. My fringe needs a cut, but I'm going to make Gary do that probably tomorrow because I cannot exist. I cannot survive with this situation on my face. Not that I'm being dramatic. So yeah, that's what's happening. That's what's coming up. Reading wise, I have got 4 books that I finished and 1 DNF. So the first book I finished, this was for my reading challenge. This is for the prompt, oldest book on your TBR. Is The Trouble with Mrs. Montgomery... I cannot say this title. The Trouble with Mrs. Montgomery Hurst by Katie Lumsden, who is a booktuber. I had the pleasure of meeting Katie last year when we went on the Booktube meetup in Bath. Again, I'll link my blog for that underneath. But I'd never read, embarrassingly, realised on that book meetup, I'd never read her books. And then was this... Yeah, it was Deborah who very kindly gifted me this. This is her second book. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. I gave this 5 stars. I really loved this. This is, we're following Amelia. We're in Regency, England, or Victorian England. No, it's Victorian England because they talk about the Queen. So we're in Victorian England and we're basically following this little town. And this feels very Jane Austen. If you love Jane Austen books, you should try this. It's got that same wit and that same ability to draw really brilliant characters and that same kind of small town, like that kind of commentary on like small town life. And like I said, I love this. I gave it 5 stars. So we're following Amelia, who is this young-ish girl. I think she's like 19. And she's part of one of the big families of the area, of this place. And she has kind of been out in society and she's supposed to be getting married. She has no interest in getting married for reasons that become apparent very quickly, and I loved how that was explored and looked at. But there's been this kind of rumour going around that Mr. Montgomery Hurst is going to propose to her because he's like danced with her a few balls, all that sort of stuff. And then he announces at the start of the book that he's getting married. He's going to London the next day to get married, and he reappears with this new Mrs. Montgomery Hurst, and the whole neighbourhood is completely aghast because she is a widow and she's got 3 children. So everyone is like scandalized that he would, one, not marry Amelia, who is, you know, a local girl, and they think he should pair up with her. And secondly, that this woman who has been married before and has children has kind of attached herself to Mr. Montgomery Hearst. And so it's partly about exploring who this woman is, where she's come from, what their relationship is, all that sort of stuff. But there's also lots of other stories. Like the cast of supporting characters is just fantastic, and you're in and out of different people's perspectives. I'm really sorry, I had to stop to sneeze, and the internet does not need to see that. Yeah, we've got loads of different characters. You're in and out of different characters' perspectives, following different people, and it just really cleverly builds up this whole society and kind of ecosystem. And I thought what was really clever, you could see the research that Katie's done to write this book in terms of like dress codes and seating plans and social expectations and who can talk to who and who can dance with who, what the rules are at a ball, but it's explained and woven in really naturally, so it's not like just like info dumpy, and I thought that was really clever. And yeah, I also love what she's doing, talking about identity and sexuality and the difficulty of being different in a time and a place that has very strict and rigid social rules and expectations. And yeah, I just adored this. I thought it was really charming. It is quite big, it's quite chunky. She's over 400 pages, it's 460 pages, so she's quite big. But I absolutely flew through it, read it really quickly, and yeah, I just had a thoroughly lovely time. It was just really charming. And yeah, I would definitely recommend it. So that was a 5-star read. And then for the prompt, nature on the cover, flowers or nature on the cover, I reread Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. This was gifted to me, I think most of these were gifted. Yeah, from the lovely Melinda. Thank you, Melinda. This edition also has a couple of other short stories in it. So this has got Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, The Body Snatcher, A Lodging for the Night, Markheim, Thrawn, Janet, and The Misadventures of John Nicholson, because Jekyll and Hyde is really short, so it's not this whole thing. This is one of the gorgeous, is it the vintage? Yeah, vintage classic editions. I mean, look at that. That's definitely got flowers on the cover, and we've got beautiful sprayed edges. We've got that match the end pages. It's got this beautiful silver bookmark. I love these editions. I've waffled on about these editions lots of times before. So I reread this, partly obviously because Melinda had gifted it to me, which was lovely. But this is one of Charlie's GCSE texts, and he's taking his exams this summer. Well, this May, really. So I wanted to read it because it's the only thing that he's doing in English that I don't teach as an English teacher. We do Christmas Carol instead at my school. I have read and studied this a couple of times, but it'd been a while. I've studied it at A-level in university, but the last time I read it was during my teacher training. I don't like Robert Louis Stevenson's writing. So I gave this 3.5. I liked it more than I remembered liking it. In case you haven't come across this, it's a classic. And it is about a man called Dr. Jekyll and an experiment that he does that creates a character called Mr. Hyde, and a murder is taking place and we're in a different perspective, and it's kind of finding out what's going on. And I think there's lots in here that's really good. I'm glad Charlie's studying it for GCSE. One, because he's really enjoying it, which is half the battle. And two, I think it'd be super, super easy and straightforward to analyse. So I think it's great in that way. In terms of my actual enjoyment as a reader, I didn't love it. And it's because it's very distant. It's that kind of Victorian writing style where you are outside of the action and there's no real emotion. It's just quite, this is what happened, then this is what happened, then this is what happened. I also read the other short stories in this collection, and I had the same sort of like, that was fine. So that was 3.5. But thank you very much to Melinda for sending me this beautiful copy for my collection. I will be keeping this copy. I don't usually keep 3.5 books, but this is such a beautiful edition. And like I said, Charlie's really enjoyed it, so maybe at some point, if he continues to enjoy it, I will gift it to him at some stage. But yeah, 3.5, but that was another one off the reading challenge. Then I had a DNF, and I'm not happy about it. I'm never happy about DNFs, but this one was particularly awkward because it was the gift that Charlotte sent me for this month. This is Lonely Castle in the Mirror. There's the author's name. I'm really sorry, I cannot remember. I did look it up and now I can't remember, and I don't want to mess it up. I read about 100 and something pages of this. and I was bored. I already read you the synopsis for this in the previous clip, so I won't go too much into it. But at 100 odd pages, nothing had really happened. I feel like it's one of those books where if I push through and read it, it's probably got a really important message in it. And a lot of the reviews that I've seen on StoryGraph would lead me to believe that. I just don't think that I'm the audience for this book, and it was making me not want to read. And I'm already like dangerously close to a full-on reading slump, so I did DNF this. I have apologised to Charlotte, she was fine about it. Obviously the nature of the beast in gifting each other books is not everything is going to work for everybody. But yeah, that was a DNF. That was going to be my choice for secondhand or borrowed book. Yeah, so I then had to obviously replace that. So I decided to pick up really quickly the book my brother lent me, which is Wait by Jeanette Winterson. Which again, you just saw me talk about. This is a retelling of the Atlas and Heracles. Yeah, it's Heracles, referred to as Heracles, also known as Heracles myth. So this became my pick for secondhand book. And I gave this 3.5 stars. This was an odd one. I really do like her writing style, and I really must pick up some others from her. So if you've got recommendations for Jeanette Winterson, please do let me know. This didn't really feel like a retelling. It was just telling us the myth. I guess with a retelling, I'm kind of expecting a bit of a twist on it. It is very graphic, it's very violent, it's very sexual, so just be aware of that. But I kind of read it and I was like, I'm not sure what you were going for there. So I gave it 3.5 stars because it was well written. It did not take me long to read because, one, it's 150 pages, and two, there's like, as you can see, there's not a lot of words on the page. And I feel like it's well written, but I had no emotional reaction to it whatsoever. So there was that one. And then finally, for seasonal read, I picked up Beach Read by Emily Henry. If you follow me on StoryGraph, I realised it this morning, because her covers are, I think, all the same and therefore quite dull, I tracked on StoryGraph that I'd read a different one of hers. What's the other one that I've got of her? Book Lovers. So I tracked that on StoryGraph and I only realised yesterday, and I cannot work out how to unpick it because I am technologically inept. So at some point I will read the other one. What did I say it was called? Book Lovers. I will read that at some point, and then I will rank that on StoryGraph. So yeah, if you thought you saw me read a different book, no you didn't, I read this one. So I picked up Beach Read. I picked this up for seasonal read, like I said. This is also my choice for this month's reading spa, which is being run by Kerry and Jen, because one of the prompts was to read a book that makes you think of holidays, I think. And obviously this is set at the beach. So I picked this up and I've now read, I think this is my third Emily Henry, and they've always been fine. I think this was her debut, and this one blew me away, but I also think it's super deceptive. Like the way it's marketed and talked about is just not what the book is. So it's got, I need to give massive content warnings for this book: for death of a parent, for cancer diagnosis and discussions of treatment, for abuse, it's kind of like childhood abuse and trauma, and probably other stuff as well. It was unexpectedly kind of dark and much deeper than I was expecting. I picked this up because on the front it says 2 writers, 1 holiday, a rom-com waiting to happen. And it kind of is that, but it's not really. So we're following January, who is this romance writer. She's grown up always with this idealised view of her parents' marriage. And then her dad passes away, and at the funeral this woman approaches her, and it turns out this woman was her dad's mistress for a number of years. And the mistress gives January a set of keys to a beach house and a letter from her father and says, "These are for you." And obviously that kind of destroys January's view of both her father and her parents, because it turns out, we learn very quickly, that her mother knew about the affair. And so she moves to the beach house. She breaks up with her boyfriend, or he breaks up with her in a hot tub, which was kind of a detail that was both horrifying and vaguely entertaining at the same time. She moves to the beach house with the view to finish her latest book, which she's struggling to write because she's been a romance writer. She's always had this view of love, and that's now been kind of smashed to pieces. And so she's struggling with her latest book. So she decides to move to the beach house, to finish the book, like force herself one summer to finish writing this book and get it to her editor. And at the same time, she's going to clear out the beach house and sell it, and then kind of move on with her life. and she bumps into her next door neighbour, who is called Gus. And they have previous history. They were at college together, or university if you're in the UK. He is a serious literary fiction writer, and they've always had this kind of friction between them. She thinks he's really up himself, and, you know, assumes that he thinks that she's kind of dumb because she's a romance writer and all this sort of stuff. He's living next door, and they basically decide to bet that they can swap genres and be more successful than the other one. And that is the kind of setup. So she starts writing a literary novel, he starts writing a romance novel, and it's enemies to friends to lovers eventually. But yeah, this had a lot more to say than I was expecting about, like I said, things like grief and how complicated life can be, and healing, and the power of writing, why we write, why we read. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. It didn't quite hit a 5 for me, but I did definitely like it a lot more than I was expecting to, so that was appreciated. And this one was also gifted to me by Melinda, so thank you. I think you sent... Did you send Jekyll and this one together? I feel like you might have done. Yeah. So thank you very much for sending both those my way. I much appreciate it. And yeah, surprise 4-star. Really enjoyed that one. So those are all the books for right now. I've already waffled about what I'm doing today and next week. I'm very much looking forward to a haircut, I can't lie. But for now, I need to get myself out of this house and get some errands done. It's the 19th of March and I've had a pretty good run of days. We're now on day 5 of good days, or 4 or 5, 4 I think. Not sure what's happening. I'm kind of holding my breath and waiting for the other shoe to drop, but we'll see. Yeah, so the weekend I didn't feel great. We didn't do all that much, I don't think. We went and saw my in-laws on Sunday, which was nice, Mother's Day here in the UK. I also spoke to my mum, obviously because it was Mother's Day, and my dad separately, got to FaceTime with him, so that was really nice. And yeah, I don't think we did all that much over the weekend. But then I've just had a little run of feeling sort of all right. We are now, yesterday was 8 weeks post-surgery, and I've just had a little bit more energy, a little bit less brain fog. The pain level's still pretty bad, but I think I've adjusted to it, as horrifying as that is. And I've just been able to do a little bit more, which has been really nice because I really struggle with not being able to do things. So yeah, it's been kind of a nice week. I'm a little bit scared to say that out loud because, you know, the universe likes to laugh at me when I say that. So yeah, I made some shortbread, which came out really well. I think it's my best batch yet. What else have I done this week? Can't even really think. Just bits. I mean, I've been obviously b-rolling. Yesterday I went to Bristol, and the video will go up before this one, so I'll link it underneath. But basically Charlie kind of chose my day for me. I gave him options on various things. I'll link that vlog underneath. I had a really nice time. I did do a lot less than I would normally have done going to Bristol, but I still really enjoyed what I did. I picked up 3 books, which I'll show you in a second. And today I'm going to get my hair cut, which I'm very, very excited about. And I get, you know, comments from you guys, which is really nice, saying how nice my hair looks longer. But it drives me crazy. Like, it's a bit of a sensory nightmare for me. And when I went to book my appointment in with my hairdresser, I opened our chat, and the last time I went for a haircut was 6 months, well, was August. So what's that? August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 7 months since I've had a haircut. We're not going to be tackling the greys today, which are rapidly coming in at my roots. We're going to leave those because I'm not made of money, especially at the moment. But a cut is very much needed, definitely before the wedding, which is a week on Monday. So going for a haircut today, which will be nice. If I feel up to it, my hairdresser is back towards where we used to live. And the town that she's in has got some really good second-hand bookshops in it. So if I'm up to it, I will go and have a little bit of a rummage. If not, I'll just come home because I don't want to push my luck too much, especially after yesterday. Tomorrow, obviously, is Friday. I've got a few bits to do. I still haven't tried on my outfit for the wedding. I don't know why I hate trying clothes on, but I do. So I need to psych myself up and do that tomorrow. Because I'm running out of time if it doesn't fit or it doesn't suit me or whatever. So I need to do that tomorrow. Over the weekend we might go and see the new film, which is called Project Hail Mary, if I can talk Gary into it. And yeah, we're just going to potter about. We haven't really got many plans. We want to do some work in the garden because obviously the weather is getting really nice. I'm trying to talk him into putting my hammock back together because he took it apart because it's a few years old now. It needs sanding and like resealing and stuff, which he hasn't had time to do, obviously because life has been a bit busy. But now the weather's turned. Yesterday it was 20 degrees and sunny. So I'm like, oh, it feels like hammock season. And he keeps going, yeah. So we'll see. But to be fair, we've only got this week and then next week looks rainy again. So we'll see what happens. It is still March. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just been buzzing about really. So let's talk about books. I've got one book I finished and then 3 that I bought yesterday. So the book that I finished was Bury Your Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This is very kindly gifted to me by my lovely friend at Christmas. I think it was, let me just double check who it was. I think I know who it was. Yeah, it was Michelle. I was going to say Michelle and I was like, what if it's somebody else? She's very kind of gifted this to me at Christmas. I wanted to read this in February, had to leave it till March because it's hardback and I couldn't lift it. But now I can. Look at that. Progress. I gave this 4 stars. I enjoyed this. I didn't love this. So this is set in 3. We have 3 different storylines kind of running parallel and then crossing over. So I just want to get my dates right. So we are in 1532, 1827 and 2019. And I don't really want to tell you much about it. We've got 3 female characters who are following in those timelines. And we are looking at how they then intersect. And it is about female rage. It's about finding your place. It's about finding yourself. It's about sexuality. It is about vampires. And that's what I really want to say. And I gave it 4 stars. I did enjoy it. And I love the way that Schwab writes. I really need to read more. I've only read Addie LaRue is the only other one I've read. So if you could recommend me V.E. Schwab books kind of based on these 2. Because I keep looking at her backlist and there's just so much of it. I don't know where to start. So please recommend me V.E. Schwab's books that you think I should read. But I got to the end and I was a bit like not emotionally invested. And I wasn't quite sure what she was driving at or what the point was. However, she is a brilliant writer. She's really, really good at creating a sense of place and the characters. And it's a big old book. It's over 500 pages. But it didn't feel slow. It's 535 pages. It didn't feel slow or laggy, and I could have kept reading. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe it didn't feel quite finished when it stops. So yeah, 4 stars. I'm really glad I got to read it. Thank you, Michelle, for sending it to me. I really appreciate it. And then I'm going to do these books quite quickly because I'll link the vlog underneath. But yesterday I bought 6 Must Die by Victoria Woolsock. Again, I need to look up how to say that name. The Wycherleys by Annalise Avery. Oh, this one, sorry, just to say really quickly, is a YA thriller about an escape room. It looks really good. This is The Wycherleys by Annalise Avery. Look at these spread edges. Which, from what I can tell, is like Bridgerton with witches. But YA, these are all YA. And then Make Me a Monster, by Kaylin Bayron, who wrote Cinderella Must Die. Again, these edges. And this is a retelling of Frankenstein. Yes, that sounds excellent. So that's the update. Right now I need to get my Charlie vlog edited and uploaded. I need to edit this. I need to put my new books into my book journal, and then I need to get on the road and go and get this mop chopped. It's the 27th of March and I got my hair cut, and am I showing you on a day where I've like carefully washed and dried it? No. It's on a day where I've washed it, combed it and left it alone. But it is feeling so much better. I mean, I think it was like 7, maybe 8 months between haircuts. Whoops. So yeah, she just basically chopped all the dead ends off. She did a really good job of styling the back because my bald patch is not that noticeable because it's underneath the rest of my hair. But she just like cut it so that everything lies flat, which is good because the wedding is in 3 days. So yeah, when I got my hair cut, then I went book shopping. I had enough spoons left to go into town, and the secondhand shops and the charity shops in that town are always absolutely banging for books. And I bought 11, so I'll show you those in a minute. One is immediately going out though because it turns out I've already read it. Whoops. Yeah. Had my hair cut. Gary and I had a very chill weekend. I think it was last week I spoke to you. This week has been less good. I've been quite anxious. I went to the hospital on Tuesday, which was a planned thing because I was having lots of tests on my lungs. All of those have come back clear, which is really good. But there was something about being in the hospital environment, I think, set me off, and I did wind up having a panic attack. The nurses looked after me really well. I got home fine. It's just, yeah, one of those things. And then the rest of this week, it's now Friday. So that was Tuesday. So Wednesday was a total write-off. I did a little bit more yesterday, and today I've been feeling a little bit more kind of back to a rough equilibrium. So yeah, it's been a bit of a weird few days. However, I have been reading. I finished 6 books since I last spoke to you. I've got 11 books to show you from the haul, and I've got 2 parcels that have arrived in the last sort of 24 or 48 hours. So I think we should get into it. So first of all, I'll show you the books that I got secondhand book shopping. The first one, like I said, is going straight back out because I'm an idiot and I did not realise that I'd read it until I went to put it into my StoryGraph. And that is The Third Wife by Lisa Jewell. I apparently read this about 18 months ago and gave it 3 stars. So that's going back out. I did get 11 books for just over £10. Most of them were between like 80p and £1.50. So I did really well in that regard, and you know, an extra £1 donation to cancer research is absolutely fine. I won't say which, I can't say which they've come from because I've cleaned them and taken off like stickers and labels and stuff, but I think you saw it in the B-roll. So this is in literally no particular order. Most of these I picked up either because I'd heard of the author, or I'd read the author before, or it just looked interesting. An example of it just looked interesting is Beneath the Lemon Trees by Emma Burstall. I really love this cover. It's kind of shouting Mamma Mia and Greece. And if you don't know, Gary and I had our honeymoon in Greece. And it just says a magical villa, a life-changing summer. And I was like, yeah, okay. It's also super short and it's in really good condition. I'm not sure it's actually been read, which is a bit sad. So yeah, I won't go through the synopses for all of these because we'll be here forever. I also picked up Sarah Adams' The Match, one of her books last year, which I now can't remember the name of, which is terrible, ended up in my favourite books of the year list. I'll link that video underneath in case you're interested. Practice Mace? No, the rule book, maybe. Might be the rule book. One about the 2 teachers anyway. This is going to be another romance from her. It looks cute. I really like the cover. A lot of these are cover buys. I also picked up By the Book by Jasmine Guillory. Hopefully I've said that correctly. Another one with a really cool cover. It's a meant-to-be novel. I don't know what that means. And it says, sometimes to truly know a person, you have to read between the lines. It looks like a romance. I'm starting to think about my 31 in August, and I'm going to need some like quick, fun, easy reads for that. So I feel like lots of these will probably feature there. I also saw a copy of this book, which again I don't think has been read because it is in mint condition. This is The Wedding People by Alison Espach, which is a book that was doing the rounds last year about a woman who goes to a hotel planning to take her in life, and she kind of gets swept up in a wedding that's happening in the hotel. So yeah, I thought I would give that a go. I also have seen this one, and it does sort of make me roll my eyes a little bit because it's such an obvious rip-off of another book. But it also looks fun. So in order to support charity, this is a Cinnamon Falls mystery by R.L. Kilmore. You cannot tell me this is not a rip-off of the Cinnamon Bud bookstore by Rory, no, not Rory Gilmore. I can't remember who that author is, but you know what I mean, that's a whole series. I saw, who did I see reading this? I saw somebody reading it and they said it was fun. And it says, catching killers, catching feelings, what could go wrong? Sophia, I saw Sophia reading this, and she made it sound interesting. So I don't know if this is going to be like, I don't think this is going to be thrilling, like a thriller, but I think it's a cozy mystery. So again, it should be a quick, fun read, maybe for August. I also picked up Ruth Jones' Us Three. Ruth Jones, in case you're not aware of her, is one of the co-writers of Gavin and Stacey, which I love. I haven't read any of Ruth Jones's novels. I think she's got a few out now, but I saw Ali talking about this one specifically, and then like 2 days later I was finding this beautiful copy. It's a little bit bent in the spine, but we all know I crack spines anyway, so it doesn't matter. I saw this great copy, so I grabbed this. This is about women in their 40s, I think, and their friendship dynamic and how it changes over time, which is something I'm really interested in. It just says, friends forever is a difficult promise to keep. I think this might make me cry, but I picked that up. I also picked up Our Holiday by Louise Candlish. I've read a couple of Louise Candlish. She does like domestic thrillers, which is usually a genre that I stay away from. But again, this looks like it will be kind of like a quick read. It's quite chunky. How many pages are you? Yeah, it's nearly 500 pages, but I feel like it will read fast. And it says on the front, you've waited all year for this and it's going to be murder. There is absolutely no way we are going abroad on holiday this year or next year or possibly the year after that. So I'm going to have to live vicariously through books, and that's okay. I also picked up a copy of The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. I've really enjoyed The Swap. I read The Flats Chair, enjoyed that one. What's the other one? The Switch, and I liked that. And then I've heard really mixed things about this. I think this was her release from last year or the year before, and some people have enjoyed it. Most people that I've seen didn't. Oh, this is from 2021. And I've had a couple of friends DNF it, and it's quite chunky. But this was a decent condition copy, and I'm intrigued enough. I've enjoyed enough of her work before to give it a try, so that's also in the stack. Another author I've read before is Gillian McAllister, and this is That Night I Learn How Far I Go to Protect My Sister. Again, it just looks like an easy kind of summer holiday read. And then finally, another author I've read before, this is The Perfect Psychopath by Alice Hunter. And it says on the front, he hides in plain sight, he knows all your secrets, and he will find you. I've read The Serial Killer's Wife from her before. I think I found it quite mid, but I'm interested enough for like £1 for charity to give that a go. So those are the 10 books that are going on to my TBR, not 11, because I'd already read the Lisa Jewell. So yeah, those are the books I've read. Then in terms of books I have finished, obviously I'm sat on bed and everything is a little bit more precarious than it is when I'm usually sat at the table. So the first book that I finished, this was for, let me get my prompt sheet, which I have been colouring in like a giant child as I go. So this was for the prompt Irish author. It's also the book that I've read for the Irish Readathon this year. It's probably as much as I'm going to get to take part this time around, but at least I've read one book. And that is The Hand That First Held Mine by Maggie O'Farrell. Loads of you recommended this one to me, based on me loving her other one, After You've Gone. I decided I'm going to work my way through her backlist, but very slowly. I really enjoyed this. I gave this, what did I give this? 4 stars. I've got my notebook down here. I gave this 4 stars. I feel like if you like Maggie O'Farrell books, you're going to like all of Maggie O'Farrell books pretty much, especially her backlist. It's all got quite a similar tone. I think also if you like Margaret Atwood backlist, you'll like Maggie O'Farrell. And that's a big thing because like, Margaret Atwood is my favourite author of all time, but O'Farrell is definitely climbing up the ranks for me. And this one, you've got 2 parallel storylines, like one in the past in the 60s, one in the like 1990 or like 2000s. I think it's just like pre-COVID. And we've got a girl called Lexi who in the 60s is kind of too big for her tiny village, so she leaves and she moves to London and she starts an affair with a married man. And then in present day we've got a young couple who've just had a baby. It was quite a traumatic birth and they are struggling with parenthood, and the man Ted keeps having these weird kind of flashbacks to things that can't possibly have happened, and don't fit with the narrative that he's been given of his childhood and his early life, and we gradually see how those 2 things converge. I couldn't give us any more than 4 stars because something really emotional happens and I didn't really react emotionally to it. I felt a little bit distant from it, but I did really enjoy it, and you can just tell the quality of the writing is just absolutely crazy. So yeah, I loved this to a certain point, but not enough to give 5 stars. I am so glad I read it, so that was that one. Then I picked up, for the prompt of classic, I picked up The 450 from Paddington by Agatha Christie. This was the next Miss Marple that I needed to read. I really enjoyed this. Did I give this? Yeah, I gave this a 4 star as well. So in this one, we've got a friend of Marple is on a train, obviously the 450 from Paddington, she's coming back from London, and another train passes, and so the 2 trains obviously slow down when they pass each other, and through the window, as you can see from this cover, she sees a man strangling a woman, and so she calls the guards, she does everything she should, but they don't believe her. And the next day when she reports it to the police, there's also no body. There's nobody turned up, nobody's missing, everyone writes her off as this kind of crazy old lady. She's friends with Miss Marple, so she goes to St Mary's Mead to see Miss Marple and tell her about this, and it kind of goes from there. And I thought this was really clever. I didn't spot it, which is quite rare for me with Miss Marples. I only gave it a 4 star because I felt like it was a little bit long. I mean, these are not long books, but was this like, yeah, this was nearly 300 pages, which for a Marple is quite a long one. But I really liked the characters, the side characters. There's a character called Lucy who, because Miss Marple was quite elderly at this point, like Lucy kind of is her legs. She's the one that's kind of out and about actually doing the detectoring. I thought this was a good time. It was interesting. I love Miss Marple. I'm really excited to read the next one whenever I get it. And yeah, it was a good time. So that was a 4 star. Then I did a reread, but this was also for the prompt disabled rep. So I reread Get a Life Chloe Brown by Tally Hibbett. I've previously given this book 4.5 stars. This time I gave it 5 stars. And I think the possible reason for that is it's the first time that I've read it as somebody who is hopefully temporarily unwell. And in this book, this is a romance. This is the start of the Brown Sister trilogy, which I would highly recommend. Very spicy though, so just be aware of that going in. These covers are super cute. I'm really lucky to have the hardback sprayed edge editions. Look super cute, but very kind of spicy. We are following, obviously, Chloe, and Red is her love interest here, and there is a cat. And Chloe is living with chronic illness. She's not given a diagnosis on page, but it feels kind of very kind of fibromyalgia coded. And so she is basically living her life, but also dealing with the limitations of her body. And it's the first time I've read it as someone who is also limited in energy and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's why it had a little bit of extra punch for me this time. But this is the third or fourth time I've read this book, and I just really enjoy them. Chloe, from the title, has a sort of near-death experience at the beginning of the book, and she realises that she needs to move out of her parents' house and get a life, and so she writes this list of things she wants to do, and she recruits Red, who is the kind of handyman in her block of flats, to help her do some of them. And yeah, it's fun, it's spicy, there's really good representation for both physical health and mental health. Red is dealing with the aftermath of a really toxic relationship, and I really like the way that that's kind of looked at through a male lens, and yeah, it's a 5-star read, so I really enjoyed that. Then I picked up Lore Olympus volume 8. This one I think was a gift. Yeah, this was a gift from Marianne. I was wearing, weirdly I'm wearing them now, I was wearing these leggings when the prompt came up, because I'm using a spinner wheel to decide what I pick up, and I think this goes quite well. So I took the opportunity to pick up volume 8 of Lore Olympus, and I gave this, did I? Yeah, I did. I gave it 5 stars. I loved this. Obviously this is volume 8, so I can't talk about what happens in this, but you've got the cover, which might give you some clues. It's a Hades and Persephone retelling, and I love this one because I'm trying to obviously talk vaguely, but a lot of storylines are now coming to a head. There's only 2 volumes left after this, which is sad. So a lot of the things that have happened previously are coming to a head and being dealt with, etc. And I just really liked, there's a shift in character dynamics in this, and again I'm being really vague, which I know, but there's a shift in character dynamics in this that I really enjoyed, and yeah, 5 stars, absolutely loved it. Very excited to read the final 2 volumes at some point. So that was for match your outfit to the cover, because like I said, I think it goes nicely with these leggings. I then picked up Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, which by the time this goes up, the live show should have happened. I'm doing a live show with Hannah from Ladette M. She very kindly asked me part of her Ali Hazelwood read along. This is my first Ali Hazelwood. Obviously I will link the video underneath where you'll see our chat and get all of my thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. I made a lot of notes reading this book. So in this one we are following Elsie, who is an adjunct professor. I hope I've said that word correctly. She works in STEM, but it doesn't pay enough, so she has a side gig as a fake girlfriend. So men can hire her, or presumably women as well. People can hire her as a date. She doesn't have sex with them for money, although she's very clear that there would be no issue with that. She just personally doesn't want to. And yeah, she's kind of a fake girlfriend, and she's working with this guy called Jack, I think. No, Jack's the actual love interest. Greg, maybe, is his brother. And yeah, so she's working with this guy, Greg, and he's got this really annoying older brother called Jack. And then in her science life, she's applying for this big promotion to be a professor, and who should be on the hiring committee but Jack? So we've got like enemies to sort of friends to lovers. I gave this 3.5 stars. I finished this 2 days ago, and then we've already forgotten a lot of the details. That's why I made notes as I was writing, as well as I was reading. This was fine. The spicy bits were good. There wasn't as much of it as I was expecting, because people talk about Ali Hazelwood being really smutty, and I'm like, I've definitely read other books that have far more smut in them. Yeah, it was fine. I think the issue is that like Elsie's whole shtick is that she like adapts and molds herself to the people around her, so she doesn't really have much of a personality, so I didn't really know what she was like. So yeah, I don't have loads to say about this one. I am glad I read one. I'm glad Hannah asked me to be part of the read along. Not fussed about reading another one. So there was that one. And then yesterday I finally finished my second audiobook of the year, which is also why I've cancelled my Overrun subscription, because it was just absolutely pointless at the moment when I'm not commuting. I swapped over to BorrowBox instead, and we'll see how I get on with that. But anyway, I finished Unruly. I will put a picture of the cover here. Unruly by David Mitchell, which was a book that my brother sent me on audio as a like get well soon gift, which is really kind of him. I think the idea was for me to like listen to it while I was recovering, except I don't really do that, because if I'm in bed I was either sleeping or watching YouTube or like scrolling like videos on my phone. I tend to read audiobooks when I'm either commuting or sometimes when I'm like pottering around or cleaning or doing household stuff. So it took me a long time to read this, because I started it in January when he sent it to me. Maybe it was February. And now it's like end of March and I finished it. However, I did enjoy it. I gave it 4.5 stars. This is a literal history of the monarchy in the UK from just after the Romans leave up until the end of the reign of Elizabeth I. She was Henry VIII's daughter, and the kind of end of the Tudor reign. And yeah, it was fun. It was interesting. I learned a few bits. It was a little bit repetitive in places. He makes the same joke a few times. I feel like it's also very British in its humour. I'm not sure if people outside of the UK would necessarily get a lot of what he was saying, but it was an enjoyable time. It did make me laugh out loud or snort a few times, and I'm glad I got to listen to it, so thank you for sending that to me, Ben. I definitely wouldn't have picked it up by myself. If you're interested in British history and comedy, it's definitely worth a go. It is very explicit in some of its language. The kind of first chapter I was like, oh, this would be so cool to get a copy to put in the school library, and then I was like, absolutely not, because there is some like what I would call top level swearing in it, so just be aware of that. But yeah, it was a good time, and like I said, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So that is everything that I have read since I spoke to you last, and I now have 2 Amazon parcels that have arrived in the last 24-ish hours. Let's do this one first. I think I've already given the disclaimer in this video, but just in case, you don't have to send me stuff. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, let's see if I can find a gift note. Nope, that's a receipt. Gift note. What is this? Oh, it's from Laura. After the rubbish news, hopefully this will make you feel a bit better, from Laura. That's really kind. We were talking yesterday, I think, and we were talking about teacher stuff, basically. And I was just saying that at the moment there's no plan for me to go back to work. So she's just commiserating with me, which is really sweet of her. So what is she choosing? Laura has excellent taste in books, so this could be literally excellent. I have not had a cowboy romance for the longest time. This is Off to the Races by Elsie Silver, which is the first in a series, Gold Rush Ranch. I don't even know what it's about. Keeping things professional with my employees has never been an issue until Billy waltzes onto my property. Sounds great. As a cowboy romance, that is all I need to know. Thank you so much, Laura. That is really kind of you. I absolutely love the Chestnut Springs series by this author, so I have got high hopes for this one, so thank you very much. And then, let's see what this one is. Oh, there's the gift note right there. So, oh, Melinda, just because you bring so much joy to my life, I hope you're healing well from your surgery. From Melinda. That's really sweet of you and kind, and thank you. I feel like I am healed. It's weird to be healed but not better. That's an old one, but we can talk about that another time. Okay, let's see which book. Oh, Melinda. I know a bunch of people that will be very happy that you put this in my hands. This is The Names by Florence Knapp, which was huge everywhere last year. I feel like it was shortlisted for the Women's Prize, she says. Charlie at Charlie Brooke was talking about this and made me want to read it. I think it only just came out in paperback as well, so thank you so much. And this is about a baby is born, and then there are 3 possible names, and you kind of follow this person down each of the different paths their lives could have taken based on that name. So it sounds really, really interesting. It's got a beautiful cover. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. So that's like also sort of showing 2 sides of my reading, like smutty cowboy romances and literary fictions that will make me think. Yeah, so I love both of those for very different reasons. So this weekend is a busy weekend. The end of this month is going to be at breakneck speed, and I'm hoping that I'm going to have enough energy for it all. So today's Friday, so Gary will go and pick Charlie up in a couple of hours, which would be lovely. He's with us this weekend. Tomorrow, which is Saturday, we've got the family coming for Gary's birthday lunch. I'm cooking a roast. My lovely mother-in-law is doing the cake. Then in the evening I've got the live show with Hannah, so like I said, I'll link that underneath, which I'm really looking forward to. Sunday, the three of us, so me, Gary and Charlie. Sunday is Gary's actual birthday. We are going to a local pub for what I hope is going to be a really good Sunday lunch. It's been revamped since the last time we went there for a roast, so I'm kind of excited and hoping it's going to be really good. Then Monday, we are flying down to Surrey, not literally, for my cousin's wedding. We're going to be going there and back in a day, which is quite a lot. It's about 2.5 hours each way. But I'm really excited to see them get married and see everybody. Everyone's going to be dressed up. It's going to be a lovely time. And then Tuesday is my MRI at the hospital. Less excited about that, but it needs to be done. So I will probably come in and wrap up this vlog. Like the next clip you see will probably be the wrap up clip, which I think will probably realistically be Wednesday or Thursday of next week. So let's see how we go. And those are most of the books that I read in the month of March. It's now the 1st of April. In my head I was like, which month are we in? Yep, April. And I'm coming in to wrap up this wrap up. I have got 2 books I've been gifted. I want to talk about gifts that I've had from Charlie, and I've finished 2 more books, and then we'll do stats and you can go on your way, because I think there's going to be quite a long one. In my defence, March is 31 days long, so there's a fair amount to get in there. So yeah, it's been very, very busy and intense, but nice, mostly, end of the month. So I think I last spoke to you on Friday, and we're about to celebrate Gary's birthday. We had such a nice family weekend. He just wanted to keep it really low-key and chill, so we had the family over for a roast on Saturday. We also had grandma with us. Charlie was here. It was just a really nice family time. Then Sunday, the 3 of us, me, Gary and Charlie, excuse me, went out to a local pub that's been refurbished recently, and we tested out their Sunday roast menu, which was excellent. So that was kind of his like actual birthday day celebration. And then we just hung out in the afternoon and kind of potted about. Then Monday, Gary and I had a flying visit down to Surrey because my lovely cousin was getting married. Obviously with my health stuff at the moment, we knew that I was only going to be able to do a tiny bit of the day, plus it's like a 2 and a bit hour drive each side, and we couldn't stay down because Gary had work on Tuesday. And I also just do a lot better kind of in my own bed and stuff at the moment. But we did manage to make it there. We got to see them get married. They got married in church, and then had a reception at a really beautiful venue. I don't think I really took any B-roll because it was a family day, and I don't want to put people on the internet that haven't said that they want to be on the internet and all that sort of stuff. But it was such a wonderful thing to watch them get married. They've been together a long time, and it's just very exciting to have new people in the family, although his now wife, that's so wild, is obviously not new to us, but it's just a lovely, happy thing. She was an absolutely stunning bride, as I knew she would be. My cousin looked handsome in his suit. My brother was his best man and he looked really sharp in his suit. It was just a really nice day. It was nice to kind of see lots of people all together for such a positive occasion. So yeah, we did the church, and then we had the job of taking my nan and granddad home because they're quite elderly now and they were kind of done by that point. So we took them home, got them settled, and then went back to the reception. And I think I managed about 45 minutes before I said to Gary, I was like, we need to go because I'm running out of steam. So everyone was really lovely about it. We'd obviously like pre-warned everyone that we weren't going to make it that far into the reception. Everyone was really kind about it. And yeah, we came home and I went straight to bed. We were home by about 6 o'clock, I think, bearing in mind that we left at 11. I think it was about 6, maybe 7, and I pretty much just went straight to bed. I was exhausted, but it was definitely worth the effort. And then yesterday I had my MRI to see if my operation has been successful. It was quite a long MRI. I was in the machine for about an hour and 40 minutes. Not my favourite thing to do. And now we're waiting for an appointment to see the surgeon. So I don't have any results. I won't have any results for quite some time. So we're now just waiting for that next part. But yeah, that's done. And that's the end of the month, really. So yeah, let's talk about books. So like I said, I've got 2 books incoming and 2 more books I finished. So the first book has come from a slightly unusual source for me, which is my Grandma Joyce, the queen that is. She obviously, like I said, came for lunch on Saturday for Gary's birthday, and she brought this with her. This is Come Tell Me How You Live by Agatha Christie. Grandma knows, I think she watches some of these videos sometimes, so hello. But she knows that I love Agatha Christie writing, and I think my brother might have got my grandma into reading this. It seems like the kind of thing he would read because he's an archaeologist. And this is basically Agatha Christie's memoir, writing as Agatha Christie Malawan, as you can see here on the cover. This is about her writing about a very specific part of her life where she was with her second husband, I think. Max, or was it her first husband? I can't remember. Anyway, her husband Max, who was an archaeologist, and she went with him to parts of Syria and Iraq in the 1930s, and this is her memoir of that time in her life. So yeah, I'm really, really interested to read this. You'll probably see me reading this quite soon. And yeah, I just love Christie's writing and non-fiction, and this looks like a good blend of the two. So that's a book you'll see me reading soon. Then when Charlie came on Saturday, he was kind enough to give me some Mother's Day, Stepmother's Day gifts. He picked really, really well. First of all, this is the card. I'm not going to show you the inside because that's private, but yeah, it's got a black cat on the front drinking tea and eating cake, and I was like, beautiful Joyce. And then he's very clever. I mean, he's 16, so yeah. He went onto my wish list and he picked a book, and he picked How to Lose a Goblin in 10 Days by Jessie Sylvia, and I can't remember actually. I think, as I'm saying it out loud, I think it was my friend who is our school librarian recommended this to me. I mean, look at this cover. And this is an opposites attract romance in a cozy family world. There's only room in this cottage for one of them, so I think it's going to be kind of like enemies-ish to lovers. And yeah, this just I'm going to pick this up pretty much straight away as we head into April. And he said he chose it because it looked cozy, and he knows I love a cozy read. So he's with us, as I'm filming this, he's with us next week for part of his Easter break. So I will definitely be reading this whilst he's about. And it just looks super cute. So I'm very excited with that. So it's a great choice. And then he also presented me with this. And I was like, what is this? I was like, it smells good. And it's a wax melt set. If I can find it, I will link it underneath. It's a set of 10, and what I didn't realise when I opened it, and he mentioned it later, is that he he chose all 10 scents for me. So I'm going to whip through these really, really quick. We have got toasted marshmallow. We have got blueberry muffin. We've got Christmas tree. We have got lavender. We have got apple spice. We know I love an appley scent. We've got fresh linen, which is one I use all the time. We've got warm cinnamon, which we know I love cinnamon ice melt, wax melt. We have got gingerbread. we've got Cherry Bakewell, which I think it was earlier in this vlog I was buying Cherry Bakewell wax marks for myself, and we've got Caramel. So he chose really, really well, and this is it's called Melts on Fire. Like I said, I'll try and find it and pop it underneath if I can. But I just love that he chose all 10 scents and chose really well. I'm really excited to try all of those. So yeah, it's just a nice kind of reminder that he does know me very well, and he's become excellent at gift giving. So he doesn't watch these, but I very much appreciate all of those choices. So that was very nice. And then, like I said, I finished 2 more books. So the next book that I finished was Friends of Dorothy by Sandy Toksvig. This was for the prompt LGBTQIA+ or queer rep on my bingo board, which I'll show you my update in a minute. I went into this with quite high expectations, and I did enjoy bits of it. I gave it 3.5 stars. So let's just get that out of the way, because I know there's a lot of you that were excited for me to read this. We're following lots of people, and I think that was the problem for me. We are following, the central couple we're following is Amber and Stevie, who have just got married. They're a lesbian couple, and they've bought this house in quite a rundown part of town. And on the day they move in, they find this elderly lady sitting upstairs called Dorothy, and she refuses to leave. And she's the previous owner of the house, and things kind of unfold from there. And that's all I knew going in. There was lots I liked about this. It was charming. In case you don't know, Sandy Toksvig is a TV presenter, she's a radio presenter, she's a writer, she's on lots of kind of panel shows, like she's the host of QI. She's very, very well known. She was the host of Great British Bake Off for a while. I love her, and I think that's why I went into this with higher expectations than I possibly should have done. There's lots about this, like I said, that is charming. We've got a massive cast of characters. There is found family, there is descriptions of food and baking, all stuff we know that I love. I think this was trying to do too many things at once. There are so many storylines going on, and it's not a long book. It's about 350 pages. It's trying to tell too many different stories, and I felt like if she'd pulled out one strand and kind of gone into that in more depth, it would have been a lot more emotionally effective, and we could have had a whole series of books with these characters, because the little kind of world that she creates is brilliant. The side characters are fantastic. I would happily read more books with these characters, but this just felt stretched far too thin, and there was just so much going on, and it didn't feel like any of it was done enough. So when I got to the end, I wasn't having any kind of emotional response to it, so it can only be a 3.5 for me. So yeah, it was a tiny bit disappointing, because I really thought this was going to be a 5-star. I did enjoy it. I just felt like it could have been so much better and so much deeper. There are lots of really good rep in here. So like I said, we've got I've lost the name now, Amber and Stevie, who are a lesbian couple. We have a gay couple that emerges through the story. We've got a trans character. We've got also need to check content warnings as well. Some of the stuff that some of the characters are dealing with is really heavy. There is a pub that they kind of all end up kind of centralizing their lives around, and there is an attack on that pub because it's known as a queer pub, so just be aware of that going in. Like I said, there are definitely some darker themes in this. Yeah, it just didn't quite hit for me, but I am glad I read it. So that was another book that I finished. And then my final read of the month was All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. This was gifted to me, I think maybe for Christmas or this is from Ellen even, spit my words out, as a get well soon gift, which is really kind of her. This was for the prompt, match your drink to the cover, because at the time that this came up on the spinny wheel that I'm using to choose what I read next, I was drinking water, and there is water on this cover. We're going for it, okay? It's my challenge, I can do what I like. So yeah, this was the book that I chose. So I've seen quite a few people really enjoy this book last year, particularly Sophia from Sophia Reads. This was one of her top books of the year, I think. And in this, we are following Isabel, whose son Mason was abducted a year earlier when he was about 18 months old. He disappeared from his crib one night, and her and husband never knew what happened to him. And we're following Isabel a year later as she's kind of doing the rounds of like true crime conventions. She's talking to she's trying to kind of hunt down any leads that she can, because the police have kind of seemed to have stopped working on it. And we are following her as she tries to work out what's happened to her son. We're also following her as a child, and something that happened one summer. and the two kind of interweave eventually. I liked this. I gave this 4 stars. I thought this was tense. I think there was a couple of really clever twists. This is not a popcorn thriller like a kind of Frida McFadden, not to disparage those books. This has got a kind of a bit more to say. It reminded me, the start of it kind of, and some of the style of it reminded me of 3 Hours, which is one of my favourite thrillers and just books in general of all time. This didn't hit for me in the same way, and the themes are very different, but the writing style, it's kind of, I would say it's a literary horror. It's well paced, and I liked that we had the current day story and the story in the past and how those two kind of fed into each other. Please check content warnings. There are big content warnings around pregnancy loss, death of a child, that's not giving spoilers, also things like postpartum depression and psychosis, and like how hard it is to have a newborn, all of that kind of stuff, mental health stuff. Also coercive control, which I thought was done really well and kind of was woven in a way that shows you just how insidious it is when it happens. I think the reason for me it couldn't be any higher than a 4 is I just didn't like Isabel. And did I say Isabel? Yes. I don't do well if I don't like the characters. And I kind of going into this knowing that she was going to be an unlikable character, because I think Sophia mentioned it in her review. But I was still intrigued enough to read it. So for me to give it a 4 star if I didn't like the character shows you how well written it is. So yeah, that was my final book of the month. So let's do stats, etc. And then you are free to go back to your life if you haven't already. And I have got my trusty notebook here as ever. So let's do this wrap up. So in March, I finished 14 books with an average star rating of 4.14. So I read a good amount of books, more books than February, not as many as January, but January was probably a bit of an aberration in terms of how much I read that month. But 4.4 stars, so I clearly enjoyed most of what I read. It's not quite the highest. My highest so far out of the 3 months is January, which is 4.22. But still, March was a really good reading month. I read 5,198 pages, which is 168 per day. I aim for 150 a day because I'm aiming for 50,000 pages over the year, so I'm now ahead, so that's great. My favourite read of the month is a book that I read quite early on. It's my second read of the month, and I'm still thinking about it like 4 weeks later. And that is The Trouble with Mrs. Montgomery Hearst by Katie Lumsden. I really enjoyed this, and I knew it was going to be good because so many of my friends have enjoyed it. But even like 3 or 4 weeks later, I'm still thinking about these characters and wondering about them, and that for me is a sign of a really great book. So this is my favourite read of March. My most disappointing read was difficult because there weren't really any that kind of let me down too badly. I had one DNF, but I've gone for Wait by Jeanette Winterson, which my brother lent me. It kind of matches my top. Only because I gave this 3 stars, I think. Where is it on this list? 3.5 stars. But because of how much I loved a previous book from her, which was her Christmas collection, I really went into it hoping that I was going to be absolutely hooked and it would be a 5 star. So for it to be a 3.5 is a bit disappointing, but it's not a bad book. It's just probably my most, it probably is the most disappointing thing I read last month, but I still enjoyed it. The standard was very high in March. My TBR, yes, my TBR sits at 43 books, which doesn't sound like a problem, and it isn't, until you realise that it has increased by 12 books on last month, even though I read 14 books. So I need to cool it with the buying books. I did buy a lot of books this month, particularly when I went secondhand book shopping, and I need to slow my roll with that, partly because I've got plenty of books now on my TBR, but also, financially I need to be a bit more sensible. But anyway, so the TBR sits at 43 books, which is an increase of 12 books on February. The oldest book on my TBR is The Michaelmas Murders, which is from November. That's in my April TBR. It's just over here, so I'll be starting it shortly. So I am going to read that. And in terms of my TBR, one of my goals for April is to read the last books that I got in 2025. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, one of which I'm currently reading, one of which is on my TBR for April. So the other 2 are working somewhere, and then I'll be into books that I purchased in 2026. So yeah, my TBR is kind of under control-ish, and I am turning them over, which is what I like to do. I had one DNF this month, which was The Lonely Castle in the Mirror, which was the book that Charlotte gifted me. We're moving on. And my subscriber count, which I don't kind of publicise. A little bit frustrated this month, and I don't like it when creators complain about sub counts, but I haven't moved at all, like at all this month. But never mind, we're moving into April. So in terms of balancing the books, I had 12 books come off the TBR. I had 3 rereads, 11 books were gifted very, very kindly by friends and family and you guys, so thank you so much. I didn't get any books from publishers this month. 13 books I bought myself. So we've got 24 books coming in, and that's 12 more than went out. So now year to date, I have had 9 more books come in than have gone out. So yeah, in April, I need to buckle down, read my oldest books, read more books than come in, and chill my roll on the book buying. Let's see if I manage that. And then for my shelves, I have 2 books going back onto my shelves as returning books. I have got 4 books incoming and then 8 outgoing, and there will be an unhaul coming, either the video after this or the one after that. I haven't quite decided yet. So you can see what went where. So that's March. Also, just a very quick update on my reading challenge. As you can see, I am halfway through, which is great because it's been my main focus. And I'm just colouring in these as I go, which I find deeply satisfying. So I've already got a line along the top. That wasn't deliberate. Like I said, I've been using a spinner wheel to choose which prompts I'm picking up. And I will continue this obviously into April and May. If I don't finish it in April, we'll see. But I have been thoroughly enjoying that. So that's March. I feel like this month has been pretty good overall. I've managed to get out a bit. I managed to get myself to Bristol, which was a really nice day. I've had my hair cut, which makes me feel so much better. We are rocking the silver strands, which aren't really showing up too much on camera, I don't think, but trust me, they're there and they are multiplying, but that's okay. We've had Gary's birthday, we've had a family wedding, I've got my MRI done and out of the way, and now we go into April, waiting for results, and we'll see what comes next. And yeah, thanks for sticking around to the end of this very long vlog as usual. So if you made it to the end of the video, can you please leave me your favourite yellow emoji? It could be a heart or a sunflower or anything else that you like. There's a yellow emoji. Leave that in the comments just so I know you got to the end of the video. And that is obviously for this beautiful yellow cover of The Trouble with Mrs. Montgomery Hurst by Katie Lumsden, which I would highly recommend. Please subscribe if you would like more of this chaos, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks everyone. Bye.